Welcome to CCK Live. Today we are breaking down whether you can win a VA claim without medical evidence and discussing the types of medical evidence you may need or not need depending on your claim. Let's get started.
First, it's important to talk about what kind of medical evidence is most often necessary to win a VA claim. Generally, veterans need a current diagnosis to win their claim, though there are some exceptions for some conditions. VA does not grant benefits for disabilities that are not active and current, so veterans need a diagnosis to prove that they suffer from the condition that they've filed for.
However, under the Saunders v. Wilkie court decision, VA can award service connection for pain that lacks a specific diagnosis as long as the pain is connected to an event that occurred in service or a symptom that manifested in service. Additionally, if a service-connected condition aggravates pain or is aggravated by pain, the veteran can be awarded benefits for the pain. In all events, however, the veteran's pain must cause functional impairment or functional loss. In other words, subjective complaints of pain are not enough to be awarded disability compensation.
Right, and beyond that, there are some conditions that may require specific forms or tests in order to prove the diagnosis. For example, a veteran seeking benefits for sleep apnea will need to provide a diagnosis of sleep apnea and undergo a sleep study to confirm that diagnosis.
Another type of medical evidence that veterans may not have is service treatment records. Service treatment records can be very helpful in proving a veteran's condition started in service or is linked to service, but they aren't necessarily vital to the success of your claim.
Yeah, some veteran service treatment records have gone missing or were destroyed. And if that's the case for you, if your records were destroyed or are missing, the National Personnel Records Center will do its best to reconstruct your records by reaching out to other facilities. But if your service treatment records cannot be reconstructed, there may be other forms of evidence like private medical records, service personnel records, VA medical records, and more that can help to illustrate the connection between your condition and your service.
It's important to remember that it's not always expected or necessary for the veteran to have sought treatment for their condition in service to receive service connection. So, for example, a veteran dealing with anxiety does not necessarily have to have reported anxiety or been treated for anxiety during service in order to receive VA disability benefits for anxiety.
Similarly, if you do not have VA medical records, but instead treat with a private doctor, these records can be used as medical evidence. To obtain these records, veterans can typically request them directly from their private healthcare provider. Veterans should know that private healthcare providers may charge a fee for fulfilling record requests and that VA will not pay any fee in order to acquire medical records.
And private medical records can provide insight into the onset and progression of a veteran's condition. VA might not have this information otherwise since the treatment took place outside of VA's healthcare system. So it's important to provide them the additional information if it's pertinent to your claim.
Another form of evidence that can be helpful is lay evidence, especially if you are lacking medical evidence. Lay evidence, or a written statement in support of your claim, is a type of evidence that veterans, their families, friends, former service members, and more can provide to substantiate a claim for VA benefits.
While lay evidence is not effective in establishing a medical nexus, it can be extremely helpful in supporting improving a veteran's claim. The reason lay evidence cannot establish a medical nexus is because the nexus needs to be provided by a medical professional who has the credibility and competency to link the veteran's in-service event to the condition they're seeking benefits for. A layperson can only speak to what they know within their personal knowledge. So in other words, the person does not have the medical expertise to diagnose or provide a medical nexus for the veteran. Instead, lay evidence can help corroborate a veteran's claim, support a rating, or help verify an in-service event or stressor.
Finally, it's important to note that the type of evidence that you need can be dictated by the type of claim you're filing. For example, if you're filing an original claim for service connection, you would need to provide evidence to link your current disability and your in-service injury or event.
And in some cases, veterans might be eligible for presumptive service connection. Presumptive service connection is possible, for example, if you have a chronic illness that manifests within a year of discharge, or if you're diagnosed with an illness that has been linked to toxic chemicals that you were exposed to in service.
If a veteran meets the criteria for a certain presumption, they do not need to provide a nexus linking their condition and their service. For example, if a veteran shows that they were exposed to herbicides in service and diagnosed with certain conditions that VA presumed are linked to herbicides, VA will grant benefits. Veterans will not have to show through the submission of medical evidence that their condition is linked to service. VA just assumes that as a matter of law.
If a veteran is eligible for presumptive service connection, they may not need to provide medical evidence to support the link between their condition and their service, but they will need to provide records or evidence to indicate that they qualify under the presumptive policy.
Right, so a diagnosis or treatment of a presumptive condition. And when a veteran is seeking secondary service connection for a condition, that means that the condition was caused or aggravated by an already service-connected condition. They will need to provide some type of medical evidence to show that the two conditions are related. Finally, if a veteran is applying for an increased rating, medical evidence is generally required to show that their condition has worsened or that their condition meets the criteria for a higher rating under VA's codes.
Ultimately, in most such situations, medical evidence will be necessary to be successful in your VA claim, but the type of medical evidence could vary based on your situation.
For more information on using evidence to support your claim, you can check out some of our other videos. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest information, and thank you for tuning in.